Who are we voting for? Meet the candidates. Who Are We Voting For was created so we could understand who the candidates are and what they are about. This is not an endorsement for any candidate. This is for the voter to be more educated about who we're voting for.
Hello, my name's Corey Oconner, and I'm the current county controller. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. I was born and raised in the house that my mom was born and raised in Squirrel Hill. After that, I moved to Swiss Sound Park, where my wife Katie and I began raising our family with our two children, Molly and Emmett. We now currently live in Point Breeze. I went to school here. I went to elementary school at East Hills Elementary. I went to middle school at Frick. I went to high school at Central Catholic, and I went to college at Duquesne University. I love this city. And for the 11 years I spent on city council representing District 5, I learned so much about the great people of Pittsburgh. And that's why I want to continue to serve you. Right now, as your county controller, I represent all of Allegheny County, talking about issues that matter, making sure that our dollars are spent properly. Another fun fact about me, I coached the Central Catholic golf team for 17 years. We won 5 WPIAL titles, 3 state titles, and currently there is a golfer, Neil Shipley, who just won a Corn Ferry Tour last year, but he played in the Masters and the US Open. I also coached Little League Baseball for over a decade, and I took 3 teams to Cooperstown to compete in all-star tournaments. I also played baseball till I was 20, winning a couple City League titles. So sports is a huge part of my background, and I love watching our local sports teams because yes, it's exciting, but sometimes they make us very frustrating, but that's what Pittsburghers do. And I think our city is just so unique that all of us have a passion for Pittsburgh, and that's what makes Pittsburgh such a great place to live. I have a unique ability to run for mayor. I have 11 years experience on city council, 3 years experience as the current county controller. Let me tell you about my 11 years on city council representing District 5. Not only did I represent that district, but I passed historic legislation that impacted all Pittsburghers. From paid sick leave, which provides people leave when they are actually sick at work. And that was not provided when I was on city council. We also passed historic legislation when it came to gun safety laws, when it came to early childhood education, and especially when it came to affordable housing and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Those are some historic pieces of legislation that are impacting individuals each and every day. But even my own district, a lot of people thought in Squirrel Hill we could never build affordable housing. Well, I said we can, and we did, because we were laser focused, because we know that we could build affordable housing in all parts of this city. And then you look at neighborhoods like Greenfield and Lincoln Place that needed support for their ball fields, their sporting equipment that wasn't up to date. We put in new lights at a number of those ball fields, put in a new deck hockey facility in Lincoln Place. And then you get to Hazelwood, which had a vacant steel mill site for decades. We invested $80 million in infrastructure on that site so that now we have companies that are going there, new robotics and life sciences that are going to be invested in that location. But we didn't forget about the neighborhood, and that was the most important thing for me. We made sure that 2nd Avenue saw investment, saw storefronts open, saw neighbors have the ability to grow in their own community, because a lot of people didn't realize that Hazelwood is actually a riverfront community. You just didn't have access. Now you have access. Not only can you get there, you can bike, you can walk there. The Hazelwood Green Site is now part of Hazelwood. And we also had conversations in that community about home ownership and housing, and how we have to keep Hazelwood affordable for decades to come, because home ownership is the way to grow generational wealth. And we understood that when we were talking about how we redeveloped Hazelwood. And now I think my 3 years experience as your county controller allow me to look at the city's finances in a whole new light, to see how we have to stretch every single dollar in our budget so that our taxpayers get basic services that they deserve. Because right now they aren't. We have ambulances that are breaking down to and from calls. We have water fountains that aren't being turned on in the summertime. Those are basic needs from our community, and right now we're not delivering. And I believe I have the unique ability to go in there day one and start getting Pittsburgh back on the right track. I believe I should run for mayor of the city of Pittsburgh because, as most of you out there, we all love our city. And we see that our city is managing a decline instead of talking about growth. When I drive around Pittsburgh and I see vacant lots and I see empty storefronts and I see downtown, being vacant with all of these great buildings that we have downtown, I see a lack of vision. But I don't see those vacancies as blight. I see those as opportunity. Opportunity for each and every Pittsburgher to grow their own companies, to grow their own families in Pittsburgh. And we're not having those detailed conversations. I bring a unique ability with the 11 years experience on city council to start that conversation about what we do with the 1,100 lots that the city owns that aren't being used. Why are we not redoing those properties so that they can be shovel ready, or 11,000 lots that the city owns, so that they can be shovel ready for communities to start empowering themselves and building not just affordable housing, but building small businesses up. Having the ability to grow within your own neighborhood is huge for a lot of people, but right now we are not providing individuals with resources and opportunities all across Pittsburgh. And we have the land and we have the space. We just don't have a vision to get there. And that's one of the main things that I bring to the table, a vision of where I want to see Pittsburgh, not in 2 or 3 years, but in 10 years. And that has to be a long-term conversation that people in this city know that they have the ability to succeed in Pittsburgh. Let's look at the South Hills, for example. Last year alone, there were 40 new immigrant businesses that were started by new immigrants that moved to our region. That needs to be capitalized. Why can't more and more companies do that? And we should be welcoming more and more people to Pittsburgh, but also not forget about the people that already live here. Instead of spending millions of dollars on studies, invest that money into small businesses so that they can grow. Invest in business districts that haven't seen that support in many, many years. And I bring a vision to this argument of who should be the next mayor, but we also bring the ability to get the job done. And I think that's what we're lacking right now in this city. When you talk about Pittsburgh, the number one thing that makes Pittsburgh great are the people. The people of Pittsburgh are so unique because we are always there for one another. And I think when you go to each and every neighborhood, you see it. You see pride in everyone's neighborhood, in every individual, that Pittsburgh can be a better place. And I believe that's what we have to start talking about. How can we make Pittsburgh a better place for you all so that you want to stay here? You want to invest in Pittsburgh. Why is Pittsburgh not every family's first choice? We need to reinvest and reimagine our rec centers and our open spaces. Because right now we know that both parents work 2 jobs and it's difficult to get kids to school. Why are our rec centers not open from 7 to 9 in the morning to provide services for families within those certain neighborhoods who have rec centers? We also have to start reopening our rec centers and not only open them up to certain hours, but open them up to free space, free time, so that kids can go and have open gym whenever they would like. Because the youth in this city need to know that we want to invest in them and that they will be part of the growth of this city. And we're not having those conversations right now. We know that recreation is something that is very important to a lot of people. And I chaired Parks and Recreation for 8 years. And I know that that department does so much great work. They just need a champion who will push them further to have their ideas expanded upon, because we have great space in Pittsburgh, but we're not utilizing it. And go even further, why do we not have a great partnership with smaller nonprofits who can teach and bring resources back to our communities? Like the Science Center, who could possibly teach a Thursday night science class at the Ammon Rec Center, or the zoo, who can provide knowledge of animals to kids in the West End Rec Center. And make those smaller nonprofits actually be part of each and every one of our communities, because not everybody has direct access to those. Those are some of the ideas that we want to put back on the table. The other thing we don't talk enough about are our nonprofits, the larger ones, not the smaller ones. The larger ones need to pay their fair share, but we have to be direct with them and say, here's what my needs are in the city. For example, the larger hospitals. Why are we not asking them to purchase new ambulances for us? In a couple $1 million purchases at a time, it will solve 2 problems. It will help our fleet, We'll have new ambulances that actually work and don't break down to and from calls, but it'll also free up the city's coffers so that we can now put capital back into neighborhoods, back into rec centers. We're not having those detailed conversations right now. In Pittsburgh, we can rebuild together a great city, but we need leadership, and we have to start talking about the daily operations and the facilities that we're talking about with you on rec, on space, on our small and large nonprofits being part of that conversation to grow our region. People of Pittsburgh, I'm asking for your vote on May 20th because we need a change. We deserve better. Right now, our region is managing a decline instead of talking about growth and opportunity. And I bring a growth and opportunity agenda to the table. I have 11 years experience on city council, 3 years as your county controller. We've talked about and gotten a lot of things accomplished in my time in public office. We've gotten affordable housing. We've gotten paid sick leave. We've gotten gun control. We've gotten early childhood education, all passed while I was on city council. But what we need is an actual vision to take affordable housing to the next level. We need 6,000 affordable units. And right now we're getting different numbers from all other elected officials. We have to be focused and be transparent about what we're actually doing with affordable housing. We've heard numbers from 3,000 new built a year, 2,000 new built in the last 3 years, 1,600 built in the last 3 years. The actual number is a couple hundred built. We have to be transparent and start the conversation on how we're going to rebuild our housing stock for everybody so that people can live in every neighborhood across Pittsburgh. But we also have to talk about the transparency in our budget. We are sleepwalking into another financial crisis. COVID money is gone. We did not plan for a city of the future. If we did, we'd have shovel-ready sites all across this city for new entrepreneurs to start businesses, for new housing of all types, for new companies to locate in Pittsburgh, and we didn't do that. For our fleet to be updated so that we don't have our plow trucks shut down, a third of them shut down in the wintertime. They're not doing anybody any services when they're in the shop. Those are the details that we have to get down to. And I believe with my vision and my knowledge of city government, I can do that and do that day one. The other thing we need to talk about is our public safety, especially when it comes to our chief of police. We have had 5 chiefs of police in 3.5 years. The last one was part-time refereeing basketball while officers are out there risking their lives. When people calling 911, our last chief of police, nominated by this mayor, was out refereeing basketball hundreds of miles away. We have to hire a chief of police who's going to be committed to the city of Pittsburgh long-term and not part-time. And that is one of the commitments that I have day one, is hiring somebody that's going to be committed to you and your your safety, because that's what matters. That's the number one job of the mayor, to keep our residents safe. But it also comes down to a conversation about the vision and future of Pittsburgh. We have the NFL draft coming here next year. I don't want to see the standard pictures of old steel mills and old things that happen in Pittsburgh. That has not sold our city in the last 20 years. We have to start reshaping how we're going to sell Pittsburgh so that it's welcoming for new residents, for current residents, for families, so that they want to stay and invest in our communities. We also have to talk to our small businesses. Each and every week, I want to call a number of small businesses for hours to talk to them about how they can expand. What do they need from their city in order to help them grow and expand their jobs? Because it all comes down to growing jobs, growing wealth. Not only should we be talking about growing wealth in job creation, we should also be talking about it in home ownership. Because we know that if somebody buys their own home, that creates generational wealth that we have not seen in this region in a very long time. So I ask you on May 20th, please join me, and please, I hope I can count on your vote on May 20th, because together we can rebuild one of America's greatest cities again, and I look forward to that opportunity.